What's going on, everyone? We are back for another live edition of the Bleed Lows podcast post-game show. The Dodgers are comeback kings tonight, and we have a tied series, y'all. We're going to get into all of it. Here with you tonight, we've got Cody, aka Ganello. We've got Anthony as well, producer Roger behind the scenes, and as you know, I'm Drea. Before we get into all of it, we want to tell you about DodgersBeat.com. Stay up to date and in the know with all of the latest and most comprehensive coverage of the LA Dodgers. It is your one stop for articles, interviews, contests, merch, and more. Never miss a beat, and check out DodgersBeat.com. Oh my God, fellas, game 7 loading tomorrow night. How are you, and are we back?
Doing good. Just barely survived that ninth inning experience. Actually, the last three innings were such a roller coaster that I'm glad that they gave themselves a chance tomorrow. Look, game seven, you hear the cliches all the time, anything can happen. Just what I would want from them tomorrow is just go out there and play hard. Just you give yourself the best chance to win if you play hard.
Yeah, how you doing, Cody? Did you survive?
Yeah, it's been an up and down week. Obviously, I've been MIA just because I'm still trying to actually recover from that 18 inning game here on the East Coast. That thing didn't end until like almost 3 in the morning. Running off adrenaline, kind of threw off my whole week. But kind of entering in today, I was remarkably still in good spirits. I felt in a good spot with Yamamoto on the mound, everything, and I figured they were going to not end the season today. I knew they were going to force a game 7. I talked it into my mind. I said it to everybody that I saw today at work, on the way to Duncan. Like I told everybody, this is going 7. And, like Anthony said, those final 3 innings were nail biters. And it's because of what we saw this team do all season long. How many starts have we seen Yamamoto, go 6+ innings, grind out at bats and get the team in position to win? And then the bullpen ultimately blew it late in the game, and we were kind of seeing the same script again. And I thought it would have been ironic, that was going to play out. Man, we're going to lose this game, but a couple mistakes by the Blue Jays, early swings, and then crazy double play that we'll dive into. But we're going to game 7.
Yeah.
Like Anthony also said, just go there, play hard tomorrow, and really anybody can win tomorrow. The best of 7's gonna, that's gonna throw a lot of things into play tomorrow. We're gonna see some of the best baseball all year.
Wow, I can't believe it came to a game 7, but I think that as we talked in the early part of the week, where is this going to go the distance? I was completely wrong. I'm like, Dodgers in 5. You guys were saying it was going to go a little bit longer, and you were absolutely right. But yes, we're diving into all of it. Shout out to the chat. I see Peruvian guy says, where are the Mookie haters at now? We are definitely going to talk Mookie tonight. We're going to get into all of it, but I think we have to start, Anthony, with that last play. I mean, take me through your thoughts as you saw that whole thing play out.
Well, ideally, I think a lot of fans can agree. If we were going to go to Tyler Glass now, maybe with a clean inning would have been better. But yeah, I kind of was already setting up for like disappointment. I tweeted it out like we're gonna die with Tyler Glass now on the mound. Unfortunately, I was thinking nothing but negative thoughts. I'm glad we got Clement out on that little pop up and that first pitch swing and kind of he kind of switched his Blue Jay uniform for a Dodger one in that at bat, so it kind of bailed us out. And there's just a lot of things that went right that inning. Justin Dean throwing his hands up, kind of calling it a dead ball out there. We were discussing it right before we went live that if he plays it, I think Barger probably scores just how fast he is. And then Barger kind of getting a little bit overexcited, kind of getting too far off second base, allowing us to kind of get him out there at second. But yeah, it just felt like a roller coaster of events in that ninth inning, from Sasaki hitting Kirk with two strikes. It just felt like everything that could go wrong was going wrong, but yet we found a way to escape it, and now we forced a game 7.
Yeah, Cody, did you think we were cooked when that ninth inning was going astray?
Yeah, I mean, I debated, I put it out on social media, on Twitter, and I said, do you put Sasaki out there, an up and down? He threw almost 30 pitches in the inning had got into trouble and got out of trouble. And, the Dodgers, they couldn't add on. They did their best chance, I guess, today. Well, the only time they even did anything was that third inning, and that ended up being enough. But, Sasaki's never been in this position before. Each time, he does something new in the ninth inning is something new for his entire career. And, Anthony's right. Everybody kind of thought Tyler Glasnow would have been better with a clean inning. I think one of the things that you can probably criticize Dave Roberts this for in terms of bullpen management is that when he's using these starters, to come into game like Sheehan, Glass now, Sheehan specifically, he's kind of getting put into a situation where he's not really been, comfortable with or has ever had to deal with in his career so far, especially starting all season. Glass now coming in pretty much, 2 runners on, both in scoring position, no outs. I mean, I'm probably thinking in the back of my head, I'm saying we're either losing in a walk-off this inning or the game at worst is probably, or at best is tied. But you get an early first pitch out from Clement, which is crazy because this is a guy that's, one of the contact kings on the Blue Jays lineup. And then you get a crazy inning-ending double play, which there's a lot of credit to this. There's a lot of credit to Kike Hernandez kind of keeping his eyes on both runners. We saw the slow-mo. He looked at third just to see if the guy was going to tag. Then he looked right back at second and saw Barger just had a little bit too much of an exciting lead. I guess everybody thought that was going to be a bloop single, so they got a little happy-go-lucky there, and Kike Hernandez made them pay. And then the other end of it, Miguel Rojas, and we can talk about him a lot. He made a bunch of crazy plays today, and he picked that ball that Kike threw him to secure it, keep his foot on the bag, and get everything. So shout out to him, man. I know he gets a lot of shit, and we talked about it before. A lot of it comes from last year from the division series blunders, but this guy was put in the 9-hole to try to get on base. Ultimately couldn't do that today. Didn't really do much with the bat or even trying to, draw a walk or whatever. But defensively, barehanded play earlier in the game, a couple nice defensive web gems out there. He really is kind of the glue to this Dodgers roster, which is kind of weird just because, you have so many MVPs and superstars. But at the end of the day, who do you see leading the toast? Who do you see leading the clubhouse in terms of talking and especially speaking to the media? Rojas, he's also one of those guys that's out there every single day working at his age. And, he got a lot of crap again, from that his pregame interview today, kind of saying how the team was mentally tired. I don't really see what was wrong saying that, just because they did play an 18-inning game. They get their asses kicked in back-to-back games. The bats look lost. Anybody would want a mental day. I wanted a mental day just to say, you know what, maybe I can chill on baseball right now. This team's pissing me off. So I didn't see what was wrong with it. I think this team has a lot of momentum going into tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. And we'll even start talking about where things can go for this Game 7. But, we're all pretty happy right now, but we also have to know what's ahead of us.
Yeah, all of that. I'm so happy that we got to see Miguel Rojas in this game. He hasn't played a lot this playoff series and this playoff rounds, and I am so happy that the moves were made that led to that at that moment. But yeah, Anthony, you have that amazing foresight from Kike. You've got Miguel Rojas finishing it off. What does that say about our vets? Because obviously we want to get younger in the future, but that took presence of mind to make that happen the way it did.
What I liked about Miguel Rojas is that he didn't let the pressure kind of speed him up. I feel like a lot of times with young players, the moment kind of gets a little bit too big and it takes you out of your comfort zone and you try to speed up a little bit, kind of what Barger just did there at the very end. Probably thought that ball was going to drop. Kike had a great bounce on it, and he kind of just sped him up and made a bad decision. But a lot of these guys, they've played in big games, a lot of big moments, so nothing's really going to catch them by surprise. The only difference being, it's just the thing that's going to end up happening is that with a young player, yeah, you do like it because it gives you more athleticism, more versatility and stuff like that. But sometimes your old guys, kind of like I've said, they won't speed up to the moment. They'll let the moment kind of breathe. They know when to push it, when not to push it, and stuff like that. So I mean, Miguel Rojas had one more than just that one save right there at the very end. He had two very big defensive plays. There was a rocket kind of hit to him multiple times at second base, and then that high chopper too that he was able to kind of barehanded, almost a do or die situation there. Because if you barehanded and you misplay it, then the runner gets on, and if you don't, you get him out. So I think just you have to have those veteran guys to kind of just tell you guys to hey, it's all right. Just let's take a moment to take a deep breath. Whatever happened, but today's a different day. So that's kind of the situation I hope they're having in the clubhouse talking right now. Okay, we saved ourselves, but let's take a moment to enjoy it, but it's over. Move on to tomorrow. Tomorrow's do or die.
Do or die, indeed. Imagine if it had got to extra innings, Cody. Would that have cooked us for tomorrow?
Yeah. Honestly, extra innings, if they went into it, this game wasn't going to end in LA's favor. It's kind of just, you blow the lead late again. The bullpen can't, close things down. you're kind of running out of all your options. You use your best starter, you use your best reliever, you're using tomorrow's potential game starter or bulk innings pitcher. So it's really like, how long can Glasnow go? And even he only threw 3 pitches. They weren't the best. He had a first pitch out, a ball, and then a shallowly hit, which could have been a bloop single, but credit to Kike Hernandez getting there. But that's the benefit to, all of this. Glasnow only threw 3 pitches, didn't really warm up too long in the bullpen, so he'll definitely be free and available tomorrow. Justin Robleski was the only other relief pitcher that was used. And, to Dave's credit, a lot of us criticized it online. Like, man, why aren't you pushing Yamamoto out there? And Robleski just, turned into a dog today. He graduated from my, kind of lukewarm trust tree. Now he's in the trust tree. We'll see if he's used tomorrow in any single way. But I think the Dodgers are in a really good spot pitching wise. And the fact that this game didn't go into extra innings, the fact that, Yamamoto did do as much as he did today, almost at 100 pitches, kind of all out effort, went on just 5 days rest, didn't have those extended 6, 7, 8 days rest periods that he's had, throughout the rest of October, which is probably why he's been able to go deep in the games. This not going into extra innings is definitely going to be favorable for Los Angeles tomorrow. But it's going to be pitching chaos tomorrow. The sink, everybody's going to be touching the baseball tomorrow in one way or another. Really makes for good television, especially I can't remember the last time we had a Game 7. It had to have been 2019, I think. I feel like every other World Series since then has ended in either 6 or 5 games. So yeah, this is what we all wanted. And I know you mentioned it, Dre. You had them in 5. Me and Anthony had them in 6. But we did see a lot of people say, you got to give a lot more credit to the Blue Jays, and we've kind of seen it. The Dodgers really haven't played good at all this entire series. Even today with the offense, which we'll dive into, just wasn't really inspiring -1 inning today. So they got to clean some things up. But the fact that they're in this situation, Game 7, where anything can happen, it's a toss-up. I mean, you got to like their chances, but you also got to be a little bit scared.
Yeah, I'm always scared when they play, but we're down to the last game. We need to give a shout out to the chat. It has been active. And just a special thank you to, we got a super chat from Nico Suave. And Nico says, thank you for all of your coverage. We're going to do this. I cannot believe that just happened. Let's make history. Yeah, it looks like we are going to potentially, we still have a chance to make history. So yes, thank you, Nico. Yeah, Anthony, could tomorrow be historic? Like Nico said.
It could be historic, especially with what they're considering doing. I think the plan is no secret, is going to be that Ohtani's going to get that baseball to start the game. And I think Tyler Glasnow is going to pitch the bulk innings going forward. Again, anything can happen in Game 7. I think the Blue Jays are going to do the same thing, going to go through every game plan they can think of. Scherzer's going to start for more likely, but if he gets roughed up early, what do? You go to your bullpen, you let him kind of figure it out. I wonder if they'll see what the Dodgers did back in 2017, Game 7. Darvish was out there, kind of died on that mound, and the Dodgers just couldn't rally back to save him. So I think it's going to be whoever blinks first, basically. I think it's going to be another close game, but it's going to come down to whoever blinks first is going to end up winning the game tomorrow. Hopefully, ideally, the offense does come to life. But just from what I saw, they did have that big third inning. I know I've been like giving Mookie all the crap in the world just because of I just felt like he's been rushing everything, but he finally met the moment and got that big RBI single that scored 2 runs. But I think it's just going to come down to a battle of will. Whoever wants it more is going to end up winning this World Series. Both teams have proven that they're worthy competitors, that they deserve to be in this World Series. So Game 7 is kind of one of those, like, it's a coin flip. Like, you can predict whatever can happen, but at the end of the day, it's going to just come down to them, whoever blinks first.
Yeah, Mookie, because we want to talk about so many players tonight. But yeah, he had said, I think in his post-game presser from the night before, that he had just been terrible and he didn't have answers. But I mean, Cody, he found some answers tonight, right?
Yeah. Mookie, gets dropped again. I was actually very surprised when Buster Olney tweeted that out today earlier, saying that he was going to be hitting fourth. I imagine that was probably the lowest Mookie would probably ever go. I don't think Dave Roberts has, the balls to drop him all the way down to like sixth or seventh, like a lot of the other fans have been asking for. Plus, it's just kind of a disrespectful thing. I think, you got to hope that you're, 2018 AL MVP, three-time World Series champion, and a huge component of your offense can figure it out eventually, even though you're entering potentially your final game, and then you got, your game 7 tomorrow. So there's really not that much room for error. But, credit to Roberts, credit to Mookie. He looked excited and happy and just felt like a lot of stuff came off his back after getting that hit. And for good reason. That ended up being pretty much the difference in today's game, that he has the bases loaded and then gets a little QI single straight through the shortstop and third base hole. Nothing too much, nothing too powerful, not too cute about it. He just put the ball in play, and that's all we've been asking for this offense, because even today, it seemed early on they struggled to put the ball in play. Gosman struck out like 6 of the first 7 hitters. That's coming off a game where Savage struck out like 12 or 13 hitters the other day. So clearly the Dodgers are having an issue in terms of pitch selection, approach, and whatever they're doing. Today they did just enough in that third inning, and Mookie Betts was a big part of it. We still saw some things where it seems like he's getting a little under, dropping his hands a little too much, and Smoltz mentioned that on the broadcast as well. But all it took was that one swing that was correct and perfect, and that ended up being the difference today. I'm hoping that tomorrow this kind of, gets the monkey off of Betts' back, because we're going to need him. We need offense at the end of the day to win these games. And tomorrow, it's imperative the first 4 or 5 hitters of the game can try to get the lead started and get it going early to set the tone in Game 7. Because, Game 7 in any sport is definitely a swaying of emotions. If the Dodgers can get 1 or 2 early runs, and then Ohtani and Glasnow are going to be your starting pitchers for the bulk of the game, I mean, that's a huge advantage for the Dodgers there. So credit to what the offense did in that third inning today. Credit to Mookie Betts for, keeping his head in there, even especially after all his post-game comments of saying that he sucks. But today he was the MVP of the game, at least offensively.
I mean, just so happy that he got that hit, because I felt like there's so much, tension released from him. But yeah, Game 7, you just don't know what's going to happen. But do you think, Anthony, that we got in their heads a little bit as far as the Jays, because they're an amazing team, and that they might play a little sloppier tomorrow, a little bit with more desperation now that we're in a Game 7?
Yeah, I think maybe more the Jays fans. I don't think the players themselves, because the players themselves were probably more locked in than anyone else on the planet right now. I think Jays fans, a lot of Jays fans probably thought they'd be popping champagne after today. It definitely felt like that after the performances they had, games 4 and 5 here up in Chavez Ravine. But I think for the players, I think they're both sides are just going to try to treat it as a normal game. Yeah, the tension is ratcheted up, Game 7, do or die. But again, I don't think the Jays. I think the Jays knew that the Dodgers had a legitimate chance of probably winning this game as well too, and they also had their chances of kind of winning that game too as well. I don't know if starting George Springer was kind of the right idea. I know he had those 2 hits, but I mean, if it's not broke, not and why even try to attempt to fix it and try to pigeonhole him back into that lineup? Probably just keep him more as a bat off the bench, but. I don't know. I don't think the players are. I think if anything, they probably had shaken this game off already. I don't think they're going to come into tomorrow's game shook. Now, if the Dodgers come out and put up like a 5 spot in the first 2 innings, then I think that's when the pressure is kind of really back on them, because you're going to go down in your home stadium in front of your home fans. And if like the Dodgers jump up to an early lead, then I think that's when you start seeing them kind of push and like pressure and like start making mistakes mentally. But right now, I think it's just 0-0, mano y mano. Like, just let's get to the game tomorrow. I think the moment any team does score, I think the pressure kind of builds up. But for right now, I think both these teams are probably shaking it off and are just moving over to tomorrow.
I mean, that they were ready to put those T-shirts on, probably getting the boxes unboxed when they saw that they were 2 on base with no outs, and then, second and third. But thank God everything worked in our favor. And, MLB just loves the thought of a Game 7. And yeah, we'll talk about numbers later, but it's definitely been a very highly watched series. But I think we have to just get into Yamamoto a little bit. I mean, he has just been their kryptonite. They just cannot figure him out, and he just seems like he's so unshaken by the bright lights. I mean, talk to me, Cody. Another MVP style performance from Yamamoto.
Yeah, I think, they mentioned the other day, I think in one of his interviews, he said he wants to kind of, live up to the image of Clayton Kershaw. And, he's getting damn well close in year two. I mean, you remember a lot of the stuff from October and then moments like these. And Kershaw, unfortunately for him, just hadn't had too much success in October. And then, we do remember all the highs and we definitely remember the lows. But I mean, Yamamoto in just 2 seasons, he is, I think, with the win today, 6-1 in the postseason. His one loss came in his first ever postseason start. This guy is just a winner. I had zero, like I didn't think the Blue Jays even had a chance today. And that's even if I knew Yamamoto wasn't going to go like a complete game. I would have been shocked if that happened. That's something that hasn't happened in over 25 years or 24 years, something like that. When we're talking about Kurt Schilling doing it back then during, I think, the 01, World Series run. But I mean, he gave them everything that he had pretty much today. And you could tell in that final inning, he was a little bit fatigued, kind of came off the mound grimacing a little bit because, he didn't get the extended rest that I talked about earlier, which is something that has benefited him a lot in his Dodgers career, especially in Japan, where they're used to the 6-day, 6-day rest, 6-man rotation. He pitched lights out and he did everything, early contact, got a pitcher's best friend, which is a double play. The defense kind of was letting him down a little bit today. You see Max Muncy botch that play in the first inning, and then, he makes up for it getting a double play to end it. And that's this type of stuff that Yamamoto is looking for. And I think that's the reason why Yamamoto gives the Blue Jays a lot of fits is because, Blake Snell really much relies on deception of his pitches and, making a pitch that looks like a ball that is a ball look like a strike. And these Blue Jays hitters have shown that that's not something that they're going to chase or do. The Brewers were supposed to be that team. They ended up getting uncharacteristically, swinging happy and being aggressive in the zone. The Phillies, they're a team that's very similar to the Dodgers, who are, they have a lot of left-handed, power hitters that are going to expand the zone because if they can connect to any of those pitches, they could do damage, doubles, triples, home runs. Blue Jays are completely different. They got really one guy that can mash home runs, and that's Vlad. And for the most part, the Dodgers have kind of handled him pretty well, besides, Ohtani giving up the home run to him in game 4. But yeah, Yamamoto just executed the plan today. He was on the peripherals. I thought the zone I tweeted out all the game was fucking awful. I hate to be like super language here, but this was pretty bad. It makes me appreciate that we're getting the ABS system next year. Because it was very inconsistent, especially on the Dodgers side. I don't want to sound like a homer with this. It felt like any pitches that were borderline on the zone just weren't getting called. And I think that's credit to, Kirk behind the plate. He is the number one framing catcher for a reason. Will Smith is one of the worst. So maybe that was probably the factor there. But, there was a lot of missed calls, especially with Sasaki late in the game. But Yamamoto, he lived up to the billing. He is in just 2 years, he's lived up to the contract. It's kind of crazy, that, obviously the Josh Reddick tweet will be out there and, everyone's gonna be retweeting it again tonight, but to see what he's done in just a short 2-year span already, he's kind of just etched himself in that October lore and just be grateful that he's a Dodger right now.
I'm so grateful he's a Dodger right now. But yeah, I think any of us are just terrified when any starter comes out, but especially Yamamoto. I thought maybe he could go an extra inning. I don't know, Anthony, what were your thoughts when they were getting ready to take him out and when they took him out?
Well, we discussed it. I kind of thought that I knew he wasn't going to go a complete game, but like we said, if he gets to the 6th inning, we just need someone to kind of bridge it to Sasaki, who I thought potentially was going to get both the 8th and 9th. And Robleski was that guy. He stepped up to the moment. He perfect bridge built for rookie Sasaki there at the end. Shame he wasn't able to finish it, but at this point, I don't care. We got the win. That's all that matters. But I always just felt, for whatever reason, I knew we were down 3-2, but with Yamamoto on the mound, I'm like, look, he's going to do his job, but it's going to come down to the offense, essentially. Can they get him enough run support? And today they did. They got him enough run support to win the game. Yeah, it got dicey there at the end, but it's just there's been this confidence with him ever since the last World Series where I'm like, yeah, this guy he's not afraid of the moment. You can tell Early on when he first was a Dodger, I think it was just more adaptation. He just had to get adapted to this MLB lifestyle. But ever since then, ever since he took the ball and in the regular season, we always said in the regular season, there's always a chance that this guy's going to do something special, whether it's a no hitter or even a perfect game when he has the ball. And today, I just felt like if we're gonna die, it's gonna be on the offense. It's not gonna be because Yoshi gave up like 5 runs and got blown up. No, I think he's gonna go out there and do his job effectively and efficiently. But yeah, there's not much else I can say about him. Year two, and he's doing this is kind of insane. I'm excited for year three and for all the years that follow, but we'll see where we're at there. But I really just don't have any words for him. It's amazing to see how composed he is out there. It didn't look like it was or do or die game for in the World Series for him. It just looked like it was a regular game in the middle of August, I guess.
Yeah, he's so unflappable. I mean, I'd argue that he's probably the best pitcher in MLB. I mean, I know we have, Paul Steen's amazing. We have Tarek Skubal. We have so many great pitchers, but to watch him do this in postseason, that's a whole other beast. To have that kind of, intensity put upon you and still be able to handle it. But Cody, he did this in Japan, right?
Yeah, this is, that was going around social media as well. His final start of his, Japanese career. He pitched in the Japan series, game 6. The Buffaloes, they were down 3-2 in the series, similar situation to the Dodgers right now. And he pitched a complete game, 130 pitch outing, and got the job done. I think he got 14 strikeouts. Clearly, that set him up for the big payday that the Dodgers would pay him. And they said, they did their scouting well. I mean, there's not much you can, talk about the Dodgers, front office and everybody that's involved in terms of scouting these players. They talk about it. You can always bring in superstar players, but if they don't have the right attitude, mindset, work ethic, it's not going to work out. And how many videos do we see of Yamamoto just doing random like stretches, workouts, conditioning? He's in the dugout studying, with his little notebook, looking at, what hitters were doing before, what his plan of attack is going to be. This guy's just a gamer. He's already building his legacy right now as we speak. But yeah, I mean, that's why he got paid. I mean, that's exactly why the Dodgers and a lot of other teams wanted to give him $300+ million. I know there was a couple of reports out there, especially the Phillies were one that apparently offered him more than what the Dodgers offered him, but that's just how of a hot commodity he was. He ended up picking LA for games like this, and now he's starting to live up to everything that the Dodgers envisioned that he would be. It's kind of, the Japanese Avengers. I mean, that's kind of what the reason why the Dodgers won today. Even though Sasaki couldn't get the job, the 6-out save done, he did his job in the 8th, handed it off to Glasnow in the 9th. Ohtani, even though he wasn't really much of a factor at the plate, he's been a factor this entire series and is going to be involved in the pitching plan tomorrow. And then, Yamamoto today, what else can you ask for from that trio of a group? So we'll see what they do tomorrow, but yeah, a lot's riding.
Oh, wow. You got your Dodger dog in the background, I see. So yeah, celebrating tonight with the doggies. Yes, I was just thinking of another guy in year 2. We got our Teo. I love Teo, but Anthony, why is he such a mixed bag? I mean, bases loaded, nothing happened.
Honestly don't know. I've been defending him, I've been slandering him, and like finally, I think that bases loaded at bat was kind of for me the straw that broke the camel's back because he just went up there and I look back at the pitch selection, he swung at basically all balls. I mean, it's just if you take a pitch or two and like put the pressure back on them to kind of throw you a meatball. But then if he throws them a meatball, he's gonna swing and miss completely. But I'm kind of over it. Regardless of outcome tomorrow, I think that's a position that we have to upgrade in the offseason. Again, I'm glad for what he did last year, but this year it's been so far subpar from what it was last year. I feel like last year I can't even think of like any defensive errors that he made last year. I know he had that big throw in game 3 that kind of saved Walker Buehler in that Yankee series, but it feels like every time I see him in the outfield, I'm like, here it goes. Like if it's hit in his direction, like here it goes. Like there's like a 50% chance that this ball's gonna drop or he's gonna misplay it or something like that. I mean, you saw at the end of the game, he was a defensive replacement. It says a lot about what the Dodgers think about him defensively that he's being replaced, and they'd rather sacrifice his bat. I know it's been non-existent in his playoff run, apart from the series against Philadelphia and against the Cubs, but yeah, it's just it feels like he's supposed to be one of our top guys, and when this lineup is performing, he's usually delivering in key situations. And every time I see him come up to base or play the plate, I just feel like it's going to be a zero. And I can say that about a lot of guys. I hate to just single him out, but like there's a lot of guys in his roster who are really, really struggling. I picked him to be World Series MVP, Max Muncy, and he's been very awful the entirety of the series. Um, but for all these guys, I mean, it's down to one game. You have the opportunity to be the hero for one game. Like just whatever's happened to this point, it's happened. Just go in there and playing. You got 27 outs essentially. You've ever played a game of 27 outs? You have to be perfect essentially. This is your one game, your one chance. You can go from being an absolute zero like you've been throughout the whole series, or you potentially be the hero for us and you end up closing it out for us. So that's the mindset that these guys should probably have. Like whatever's happened to this point, it's happened, it's in the past, and like you have one game to make all amends basically. Just come up with a key hit, key defensive play, whatever it takes, basically, whatever it takes to win.
I love that. Whatever it takes. I mean, that's it. It's tomorrow. It's over. One way or another, we're done. One team's going to be holding up the trophy tomorrow. And I mean, as much as I wanted it at home, I don't care. I just want the trophy. I want the parade. I want it all. And I want to see us go back to back. I want this. And I told Anthony last night, Cody, on the post game or 2 nights ago, I want this for Kershaw. You know, I really, really want to see Kershaw's last game, him holding the trophy. I just think that that'll be so momentous to watch that. But I want to talk a little bit about Shohei because last year was his first, experience with any kind of playoffs in the MLB. So this is his second year, and he's had some incredible moments so far in postseason. Don't want to take that from him, but did you think he would dial it up a little bit more in the month of October for more games?
I mean, I think it's obviously we've seen him do a little bit of everything this October, and that's kind of shown his value, which is why he won the LCS MVP, which is why, he's probably, say if he gets a couple hits tomorrow and the Dodgers win, you probably have an argument that he's going to win MVP for this series as well, just considering he's going to potentially pitch twice, and then he had a really good game, 4 or a game 3 where he hits, goes like pretty much 9 for 9. He was on base 9 times, hits the home runs, tying home runs, all that. But there were some moments where until the World Series last year in game 2 that he was kind of just a better hitter, but then he got injured. So now he's kind of fully healthy. And I think he may be trying to do a little too much at the plate. I did commend him for his his discipline against Fluharty and a couple of the other pitchers that he saw today, because I was telling my brother, me and him were watching the game, and I'm trying to what, this is what they're going to do to Ohtani. They're going to pitch him a fastball in, and if he doesn't bite at it or if he does swing it, they're just going to continue throwing stuff away. And literally, I'm pretty sure out of he had like a 10 pitch at bat earlier in the game, every single one of the pitches was either inside by his hands or down and away, and you could see Kirk just sitting up there, and they were just waiting for Ohtani to swing. If he swung, you get him. He strikes out. He rolls over on a ground ball to Vlad like he did as well today. If he doesn't swing and whatever, then it's a walk, and they were probably going to intentionally walk him at some point this series anyway. Curious of their plan of attack tomorrow, because there really is no margin for error. Like Anthony said, it could just take one swing from somebody, and obviously Ohtani is the guy that they've circled the most on the list. So we'll see how many pitches he even gets to hit tomorrow. That's why it's so imperative that everybody else in this lineup starts to get things a little bit going. Teoscar Hernandez is the number one guy. Tommy Edman, everyone was, kind of shitting on him on social media for, the past couple days. He ends up being like kind of the difference maker today in terms of getting on base, getting that double, and then ends up scoring. He looked really good at the plate today. You just got to hope that down the line, Mookie Betts can continue. Freddie Freeman can, continue having a good series. Will Smith had a really good day at the plate today. You just got to hope it's a team effort. That's all you ask for a Game 7. If Ohtani can be part of that and they can blow him out tomorrow, by all means, I'd rather see that. Think my heart would rather see that. But we'll see what Ohtani does. But make no mistake, this guy lives for this types of moments. He's waited for this kind of moment his entire career, and that was kind of a debate. I think one of the NFL broadcasting crew on Fox they kind of are getting a lot of heat because they're saying, Ohtani was irrelevant on the Angels. He was irrelevant on the Angels. We hardcore baseball fans knew him, but now everybody knows him because he's on the biggest stage. That's because he's on the Dodgers right now. So that's the reason why I signed here. This isn't going to be the last World Series he's a part of, whether they win or lose this year. So you just got to enjoy the ride. I mean, these next couple years, you just got to enjoy it. I think Drea froze.
I think she did, yeah.
We lost our fallen soldier.
That's funny, yeah.
While she gets her thing situated, we'll kind of segue it to you, Anthony, here. Do you think Ohtani's pressing? Like, what's your overall thoughts of the postseason? What are you even expecting from Ohtani on the mound and at the plate tomorrow?
Oh God, I hope it's one of those games where he just turns it on and he turns into like Super Saiyan, and he has like 3 home runs and he goes out there and pitches. I think he's going to be limited to 2 innings. I think that might be his limit, 2 innings, but I don't know. I feel like he's plays better when he's loose, and I feel like he's pressing too much at the plate. He's trying to do too much, and if he takes his own advice and just says, "Just do the bare minimum and put the ball in play," he had that play where I thought it was going to be a fly ball out, but he's just so strong that he goes the opposite field and it almost goes over the fence as well too, and it forces a double into that situation, but. I think all these guys have to go in there and just with the mindset of just make contact. That's all you have to do. Put the pressure on them to get outs. And if they get outs and they make diving plays and they're superstars on defense, like so be it. But I think most of these guys, it's not just him, but like 1 through 9 are just pressing too much. And like I don't know if this win is gonna like relieve that pressure. They finally like drew blood. Oh, there's Drea, she's back. They finally drew blood and like they saw that the Jays are beatable and if anything, they should take lessons from the Mariners. The Mariners had these guys on the brink of elimination, Game 7 at home. If it wasn't for bullpen decisions, the Mariners are probably in the situation where they're in the World Series. So you have to just go with the flow and just try not to press. I know the first inning is going to tell me a lot where we're at offensively. If guys are going out there and the approach is the same as it was today, I think it's going to be a long game. But if they go out there and just make Scherzer pitch, I think they have a really solid chance of chasing him. If you just make him keep pitching, pitching, pitching. He was pretty impressive here at home against us here up here in Dodger Stadium. But I don't know. I just feel like if you put the pressure on him and he kind of starts crumbling, I think you have a good chance at winning this game. But at the end of the day, you just have to take a deep breath when you're up there. And I feel like up until this point, I think it's the one time where I saw them, they were playing very loosely. Maybe the pressure of elimination, just let them like play loose, like, all right, whatever. If we lose, so be it. But up until then, I felt like the pressure was kind of getting to them. And now I'll see where they're at Game 7. But if you play loose, and the Blue Jays have been a perfect example of this, they've played loose throughout the series, and they look like the better team because they're just going out there and playing baseball. And I feel like the Dodgers are trying too hard to be perfect. If that makes any sense, they're just trying too hard to like, oh, we have to like locate, locate, locate. Like just play baseball, and like if the better team wins, the better team wins. So be it.
Trey, can you hear us? Oh, she fell off again. Oh, internet's not working there for her. But yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot what you're saying, just because the offense has kind of it's been so bad since, probably the division series, even in the division series, they had their moments like Teoscar Hernandez didn't look completely lost over there. And Ohtani's, a part of that, although he has came up big in a lot of his moments. I got to say tomorrow, it really, a bloop and a blast, that could be the difference of a game taking all momentum. So they're going to have every one of their pitchers available. I'm interested to see if Shane Bieber even gets the ball tomorrow. He's the guy that's coming back from Tommy John surgery. He's a free agent at the end of the season. Does he, personally risk himself getting injured and, losing out on a decent payday in the offseason? Some players, you also got to think about that. But the offensive approach tomorrow is get on base, do the little things, do what the Blue Jays have been doing all series. And the Blue Jays had an uncharacteristic day here at the plate. They went 1 for 9 with the runners in scoring position. They left 8 men on base. They got outs on the base paths to end the game today. George Springer being in the lineup, he was kind of held to his singles just because he could barely move out there. Every single swing, it just looked like he was in immense pain. But other than that, I mean, going into tomorrow, are you still, looking at how the Blue Jays have played offensively this entire series? Is it still kind of scary, or the idea of Ohtani, Glasnow, maybe even Snell, who sound like he wants to get into this game. Do you even say, if you're the Dodgers, do you even consider pitching Snell at all tomorrow?
Uh, See, I've been having this like recurring dream where like Blake Snell is essentially Madison Bumgarner. In that game seven, he comes out of that bullpen and closes it. I know Bumgarner went out and pitched a lot more innings, but I can potentially see Blake Snell like getting an inning or two to kind of close it out, especially considering like Sasaki was kind of shaky today. And we'll see where he's at tomorrow, how he's feeling. But even some of the tweets, I saw one of the tweets I retweeted. I forgot who even sent it, that Yamamoto just insane said that he'd be available tomorrow to go if needed. Just a complete psychopath move. But yeah, I think the bridge is clearly Otani, Glass now for as long as he can go, and I guess Blake Snell if Blake Snell says he feels good. But I don't know. I feel like they've been seeing him very well, and they jumped him early on for those 2 home runs. But he said it's a lot of luck, but at the same time, he wasn't getting like a lot of like routine play outs either. They're pretty loud outs as well too. So I don't know. I just if he does come in, I think he plays that Madison Bumgarner role and he comes in for like the eighth and ninth, just in case Sasaki just isn't feeling it, or he threw too many pitches. But yeah, I think that's the only way I see Blake Snell. It's just at the very, very end of the game. If you have to even burn Sasaki earlier, say it's the sixth inning or the seventh inning or the eighth inning, and you just don't have any options you trust down there, and you look at Blake Snell, I'm like, well, you're gonna have to get us 3 outs here, essentially.
Yeah, and the pitching wise, it's going to be kitchen sink. Everybody's going to be up in the bullpen. Everyone's going to expect to pitch in this game in some capacity, and doesn't mean everybody's going to be used. The Dodgers are going to use the guys that we kind of already figured they were going to use, the high leverage impact starters. Blake Snell could be on that list just because of how good he's been, but hasn't really been good this series. Tyler Glasnow obviously is going to be in it. Otani is going to be a factor. Roki Sasaki, even though he threw 30 plus pitches today, I imagine he'll be available as well, especially if you give him a clean inning. Other than that, I think the next plan of, for tomorrow is, who do you still keep the lineup the same? Because they scored just 3 runs today. That ended up being enough. Mookie Betts in the 4 hole. You had Will Smith stay in the 2 hole. Obviously, Otani leading off, and then Rojas playing, hitting in the 9 hole and playing second base. Do you just run it back tomorrow? Same game plan in terms of the lineup?
I would. I know it didn't yield results. It did yield enough to win the game, but I kind of like the way we set up defensively. Just the presence of Miguel Rojas in the infield. Tommy Edman, I know, has that bad ankle, but I think he's gonna will himself to kind of. It's game seven at this point. Every guy is hurt. Every guy has knacks, nicks, and all that. But yeah, I kind of just like the lineup. I know Mookie in the 4 hole is kind of like the shocker, but he looked good today. If he is able to build momentum for it tomorrow, then yeah. But especially with the right-handed pitcher and Max Scherzer, I think those guys are going to be ready for him. The only fear I have is our lefty options are pretty struggling at the plate. Whether it's Freddie Freeman, I know Tommy Edman had that big double. He's struggling as well too. But Max Muncy, I think I said he was the key going forward, and he just has been awful. He's not even drawing walks or like seeing enough pitches to kind of like give him a reason to like make a pitching change or something like that. He's just I feel like everyone that goes up already has 2 strikes, and you're basically defending at that point. It doesn't feel like you're able to build momentum off an inning if you're like before you realize that you got 2 outs and like you're like, damn, like he's only thrown like 6 pitches this inning. But I don't know. Going forward, I think this is the lineup you have to roll with. Defensively, I think it's our best defensive lineup. Tommy Edman, his versatility out in the outfield kind of provides that. And I like Miguel Rojas. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like him in there defensively. The key for him, Miguel Rojas tomorrow, is to kind of repeat this defensively. But if he can find a way to get on base for Otani to kind of set him up there for a big potential inning, that's kind of the key for him. A lot of these guys have failed at in that 9 hole to kind of get on base for Otani. I know Rojas didn't really have a chance, but there was guys on for Otani as well too throughout the game. But that's kind of the big piece. I think you just have to roll with it. If it's not broke, don't fix it, and kind of just roll out with this lineup.
Yeah, I think the lineup is probably going to be the same tomorrow. If I was Dave Roberts, I would run it back out there as well. Everyone seemed to click enough today to get the job done, but it also gives the Dodgers a good lane of having, left, right throughout the entire order. That way the Blue Jays can't really get into a string. I think if you're going to make some minor changes, probably try to break up Max Muncy and Teoscar Hernandez, considering they just both don't seem, too in it at the plate right now. And Teoscar Hernandez, I think this is his second golden sombrero of the World Series, so that's not looking good for his, stat line this year in the Fall Classic when he came up so big last year. And then Max Muncy, like you said, I think the zone today from the umpires had a little bit something to do with it. Kind of this whole series, anything kind of borderline, that's where Muncy really gets his money's worth. If Kirk is out there framing it and stealing them for strikes, it doesn't really matter how good your eye is, because in reality, he is taking balls, but Kirk's framing them and making them look like strikes, and he's getting, the outs there. So we'll see what Muncy does for Game 7, but he just hasn't looked really good there as well. I just feel like you have to run it back this defensive alignment, though, because like you said, it gives them the best opportunity to win a ball game. Edman in center field was the get-go plan from the beginning of the season. He ends up getting that ankle injury that lingers throughout the entire regular season and bleeds until October. And now you really only have one game left. Guess what? You got to toughen it out, take some Tylenol, ibuprofen, all that stuff, guzzle it on those pills, because you got one game, win that game, and then go into the offseason, get the surgery and get it over with, and then heal your body. But Edmund in center just provides, Rojas to play second base, and I think he's probably the best 9-hole hitter option, and he's also the best option at second base, and he proved that today. He made at least 3 or 4 stellar plays that are going to prove dividends in this series. Mookie Betts shortstop, Max Muncy third. Outfield alignment looks pretty good. Kike Hernandez, I don't think really has the arm or the range as a center fielder, especially, he's getting up there in age as well. So what you saw today is, I think, what you're going to see tomorrow. Maybe there's a few more tweaks in the lineup, but other than that, you kind of got to bet on these guys to put the bat on the ball, play where they've been playing all year, and kind of just start to hit collectively. And I think advantage-wise, we'll see what the Blue Jays do with pitching, but they already saw all of the best options the Blue Jays have to offer. Savage, he will only come in for relief, and how long can he go? Like 1-2 innings. We'll see. Gaussman, he's done. He won't appear tomorrow. He threw, I believe, almost 100 pitches or even over, so he's not pitching tomorrow. Bassett is like another guy that's been really good this series. Kind of the whole Blue Jays bullpen has kind of held the Dodgers at bay this series. But you look at who they're going to start and throw out there, you're going to bet on the Dodgers bats to at least wake up a little bit more. And I think after the way they ended this game, how they're feeling, how they roll into tomorrow, maybe they're just going to be feeling themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's very imperative that they score early and often. I think you put the pressure right back on the Blue Jays if you put up an uneven number, and they have to start pressing and stuff like that. But it really comes down to how bad do either of these teams want it, essentially. It's going to come down to effort. It's going to come down to the little things defensively as well too. The pitching, again, the pitching is going to basically be, if you can go an inning or two, you're going to come into this game whether you're a high leverage guy or a low leverage guy. The Dodgers have the best opportunity to win. Ideally, if you came into a game 7 and you said you're gonna have Otani open, Glass and I'll go to bulk, and you probably have Blake Snell to finish it off with a little mix of Roki Sasaki here and stuff like that, I think you would look at it and be like, yeah, I like our chances at winning that game. But again, game 7s are so funky. They can be so weird, but I think it's gonna come down to, I think the game will be decided between the first 4 innings. Those first 4 innings, if it's a close ball game, I'll get a little bit nervous going into deeper into the game, but if the Dodgers score early, I think the nerves would be settled. Like right now, I'm a little nervous, but I think just because the game just ended and I'm playing like a million different scenarios in my head of how Game 7 would go. But I think going forward, I think I do have the most confidence that the Dodgers will find a way to win that game. They've been a very good road team on the this postseason, which is kind of crazy. I think the only game they dropped on the road was actually game 1 of the World Series, I think, if that memory serves me right, because they won both in Philadelphia, they won in Milwaukee, and they didn't go on the road for the wild card series. So, I mean, game 7, if anything, I know there's not a lot of guys on that team that played on that 2017 team left, but you can see how wild the game 7 can go, and like one error leads to like a big inning, stuff like that happens. But there's also multiple examples of teams that were on the road that won Game Seven's World Series. The ones that come to mind are the Giants and the Cubs, who won in extra innings there against Cleveland. But it's possible. A lot of teams have done it. You give yourself your best opportunity if you score early on in this game.
Yeah, I think just spitballing in my head, I think every single game seven I can think of, the road team won. The Astros beat the Dodgers in 17. Cubs beat the Indians in 16. Nationals beat the Astros in 19. And, that's kind of my process. You mentioned the Giants beating the Royals as well in 14. So clearly it seems like the advantage is the road team in this scenario. So, and the Dodgers have been playing well on the road. You were correct. The only loss they had on the road this season, in the postseason, was in Game 1 of the World Series, and they rebounded really good in Game 2. So, one loss, playing in a lot of hostile environments. Toronto's crowd. If you can get to no matter what crowd it is, if you can get to an early lead, especially in a big game, in a winner-take-all game, you're really going to suck the momentum and everything out of the room. So that's imperative for the Dodgers tomorrow, is if you get a lead, continue adding to it. I mean, that's for any game, but especially in a game seven. We'll kind of get ready to wrap it up and close it out here. One thing I did notice, I put it a tweet out today. I'm sure more and more people are going to see it. I noticed that a couple of the Blue Jays relief pitchers were wearing 51 on their hat, had it inscribed there. Pretty sure that's a connection to Alex Vesia and a tribute. The Dodgers pitchers started doing that, I believe, when they returned home for the World Series, or maybe it started during the first two games, one of them. What are your thoughts? Kind of seeing a team kind of supporting another pitcher that's not on their team.
I think in sports in general, whether it's the NFL, MLB, MLS, any leagues, it's a fraternity. It's kind of the elite of the elite. And most of these guys are friends in the off season. Like you'll see Teoscar and Vladdy talk a lot. I think Teoscar is like, or Vladdy is the godfather of one of Teoscar's kids. So you build relationships as you go throughout league by league. You're not going to play for the same team unless you're Clayton Kershaw. You have the privilege of playing for the same team for your whole career. But I thought it was very awesome. It's one of those things where like it's bigger than baseball. We know what Alex Vesia is going through and his wife is going through. And it's kind of one of those things where like, yeah, he Alex Vesia hasn't played for the Toronto Blue Jays, but those guys over there understand it as well too, because they also have families of their own. You don't know exactly what a lot of guys what's going on in their personal lives over there in the Blue Jays, but it's just a sympathy thing, which I really love. At the end of the day, this is just a ball game we're playing. We're discussing a baseball game. There's bigger things in life, considering what's going on with that family. Alex Vesia is definitely missed with the Dodgers. There's been situations where I've watched the game and I hate to say it, I'm like, this is the Vesia spot right here. I've thought it multiple times, but at the end of the day, I said before we even came into the World Series and he was left off the roster, like he doesn't have to do anything the rest of the way. He's like he has bigger issues at hand, and like we'll see you in spring training if your mind is right for it. But my prayers continue to go out for him. He's one of the big pieces in our bullpen, but a lot of those guys are also kind of living up and pitching to him as like a solidified thing. Like Robleski's kind of like stepped in to that moment, and you can tell like it means a lot to them. Those the bullpen guys, especially because when you play baseball, your position players and your stars are always going to be in the dugout, but like the bullpen guys are in their own world. They basically, you've heard from various other guys, like they'll interview and they'll be like, yeah, we just kind of out here like we live in our own little world. We have our own little games. Like we do all sorts of stuff here during the regular season, and like it really becomes a tight knit group. And like one of your vocal leaders and you're one of your vocal guys, and Alex Vesia in that bullpen goes down, and you see how fast they quick to kind of rally around him as well too. And that goes on both ends as well too. So I'm glad that's happened. I love that it's happened. Again, a lot bigger things going on than just a baseball game. So I'm happy the Blue Jays were able to honor him like that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just respect. This is just the sport. It's just a game at the end of the day. And clearly Vesia, the fact that the member of the Dodgers bullpen and now, of the team that they're facing in the World Series, the biggest stage of baseball, that team is also respecting it, kind of just makes me worry more about the situation that he is more than likely in with his family. I know a lot of us have kind of inferred, given, if you follow the team and, his family and his wife and all that. So obviously thoughts, prayers, all that stuff for him. I could get emotional just talking about it, but to kind of see both of these teams coming together and honoring a guy that's well respected, liked, and from across baseball. And like you said, these guys are all friends. It ain't like the 60s and the 50s where rivals and opposing teams just hate each other. No, they're all friends. They all work out together in the off season. They all try to help each other get better, because at the end of the day, there's that player camaraderie that they're going to be friendly and they're going to be cordial and they're trying to help each other out and just grow the game of baseball. So credit to the Blue Jays. Shout out to all of them, everybody that's wearing the 51 for Vesia in the bullpen. And Drea mentioned that she wants to win the World Series for Clayton Kershaw in his final year, and that's something I would want as well, for him to go out on top. But I think you kind of have to add it right now is you got to win it for Vesia, man. This is for him. He wasn't able to be a part of this, this team, and his presence has surely been missed. A lot of opportunities have came up in terms of the bullpen and what Dave Roberts has to go to. And, this is the baseball side of it. They're missing one of their key relief arms, and it's definitely, proved to be an impact of this World Series. And we'll see if they can squeak it out tomorrow for Game 7. But yeah, that for Alex Vesia, prayers to him and all, and everything him and his family are going through. But kind of transitioning here to the final part of the episode. What are your final thoughts from today, and what is your, emotion, psyche? Are you scared, nervous for tomorrow?
Oddly enough, I've kind of calmed down. I was very anxious starting it, maybe just because of the way the game started, but coming on here and talking the game out kind of helps a lot with like the nerves and kind of settles it down. So now I kind of have a clear game. Honestly, I'm not nervous at all. I have zero fear, kind of, maybe because I did kind of put up those like mental walls, like, all right, like if we do go out, like at least if we go out, let's go out fighting kind of deal. So yeah, no nerves for tomorrow. It'll probably change as the game time gets closer. I'll probably get a little bit nervous, but at the same time, it's one game, it's do or die. We have the best shot of winning this game. I just hope we go out there and play hard. It would really suck if we have to come on here and like we were discussing like, yeah, they just went out there and looked completely flat after what just happened this game right now. So that's the only thing I'm really asking. Just go out there, play hard, give yourself a good chance to win. And if you win, I'll be happy. And if you lose, I'll be pissed. But if you lose in the ways that you did at home, I think that's kind of what pissed me off the most, because the lack of compete, the lack of want, and stuff like that. So again, you have the opportunity to do something special, be a back-to-back World Series champion, solidify yourself as a dynasty in Major League Baseball and in Los Angeles too, when you compare against other teams that have been dynasties as well too, the Lakers. So my last final words are, how do you want to be remembered? That's the way. How do you want to be remembered? This Game 7 is how a lot of people will probably end up remembering you by.
Wise words. I hope they put it out all on the field. Hopefully they don't go out with the whimper. The last time we saw the Dodgers play a Game 7 in the World Series, I have traumatic memories of that. Yu Darvish just couldn't get the job done even at home amid the signs and the cheating scandal of the Astros. Darvish did lose that start at home, so that's kind of on him. Kind of getting down early, giving up the home runs to George Springer, I think they were in like a 5-0 hole. Very hard to come back of in a Game 7. So hopefully that doesn't happen tomorrow. I don't think it will. I think this is actually going to be a very tight game between both of these teams tomorrow. I don't think neither offense is going to go, scorched earth and drop 10 runs and blow out the other. I think we're going to see another nail biter like we did today, low scoring, key decisions from the bullpen management, lineup, all the like game changing plays on defense, you name it. We're going to see a really good baseball game tomorrow between two. You could probably say it now. I think these were the two best teams in baseball, and the Dodgers tried to prove us wrong and tried to prove themselves wrong, saying that they weren't the best team. But now that they're all healthy and playing their game, they're here in a Game 7. And the Blue Jays, they proved everybody wrong. Everybody had them finishing last or second to last in their division. They end up having one of the best offenses in baseball. They're here in Game 7 of the World Series. So clearly, both these teams just got to play like with nothing to lose and play their game. And we'll see what happens. If the Dodgers come out on top, awesome. If they don't, as long as they put it out on the field, like you said, you'll hate that they lost, but you'll respect that, the way they went out with the loss. So I'm excited for it for game 7. I'm sure we'll be back tomorrow for a post game. We may do a pregame just because it's a weekend game on Saturday. So screw all the college football. It's game 7 of the World Series. We will be back tomorrow in some capacity. Last shout out for all this, DodgersBeat.com. I know Steve Webb is definitely typing away at all the pregame, postgame notes and interviews from today. So be sure to check those all out. I will have the pregame article tomorrow as well, with also a couple other tidbits of information that we're getting in terms of pitching plan, when we'll see Ohtani, is Glass now available, all that types of stuff, and then obviously the recaps. And then if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, comment. We definitely appreciate Nico giving us the super chat of $19 tonight. That's awesome. And then keeping it alive in the chat. But game 7 tomorrow, Anthony, I'm excited. I know everybody's excited around Los Angeles. We'll see what they're going to do, and we'll have our predictions, and hopefully we're talking about World Series championship tomorrow. But that'll do it from us here on the Bleed Los podcast. All 3 of us will be back tomorrow. Hopefully Drea gets better internet or fixes whatever went on with her router today, and we will see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys.